Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's Emma again with another true crime case. Today we're going to be covering the case of a murder of Alisha MacPhail. Alisha was a 6-year-old Scottish girl and she was born on the 27th of October 2011. And on the 2nd of July 2018 she was abducted from her bed and murdered by a 16-year-old. Alisha was there to stay in North Lancashire for 3 days with her grandparents and her father on the Isle of Bute. Alisha MacPhail was born in Glasgow Royal Infirmary on the 22nd of October 2011. She lived in Airdrie, North Lancashire, where her mother, Georgina Loughrane, aged 23, and her younger sister, Courtney, aged 4, had attended Chapelside School and had recently completed Primary 2. She was described by her teacher as smiley and happy, and she loved being at school. She enjoyed English in particular and writing. That was her favourite skills. And her favourite activities were baking and gymnastics. She was just a really happy little girl. Her parents separated when she was 3 months old. Her father, Robert, aged 26, lived in Rothesay, the principal town of the Isle of Bute, with his parents and his girlfriend, Tony McLean, then aged 17. Alisha would visit her father and grandparents every other weekend, and on the 28th of June 2018 she was 6 years old, and she joined the family in Rothesay for what was meant to be 3 weeks of the school summer break. On the 1st of July 2018, 3 days into the summer visit, Alisha was put to bed in her room by her grandparents in their seafront home. She was watching a Peppa Pig DVD, and at around 11 o'clock they checked on her and noticed that she was asleep. The key was left in the front door, as was common in Rothesay. The same evening, 16-year-old Campbell visited his friend's house, where he became drunk, and there was a party going on. Now the party finished about midnight. But at about midnight on the 2nd of July, a friend returned and found Campbell in bed and suicidal. Campbell claimed, I was quite upset as my mum had been arguing with me most of the night. The friend was quite worried about him and offered to stay over, but Campbell declined and said he was going to get stoned. He sent messages to several people asking if they were available to sell him cannabis, including Robert MacPhail, Alisha's father. And at 1:47 and 1:48 he called Tony McLean, stepmother of Alisha, but there was no response. He was intending to steal cannabis and thought if he went round to the house he would be able to break in and maybe steal some cannabis. So let's just talk about him for a minute. Aaron Thomas Campbell was born in Shrewsbury, Shropshire, on the 7th of May 2002. He moved to the Isle of Bute when he was 4 or 5 and lived with his mother Jeanette, his father Christopher and his younger sister. His upbringing included some physical and emotional abuse, and he often argued with his alcoholic mother. There was some tests involved for attention deficit disorder, and he did have a history of self-harm in his younger years, and he was quite depressed a lot of the time. He attended Rothesay Academy and was popular among friends with whom he regularly drank alcohol, attended parties. He was quite fit and active, and he was very keen on gaming and YouTubing. When he was 15, he began to consider doing something excessive, such as rape. And in 2017, he sent a Facebook message saying that he might kill one day for the lifetime experience. He was entered into a rehabilitation program and when he was caught starting fires. So his upbringing did involve some abuse. He also then went on to commit some violence and starting fires. So Aaron Campbell went round to the house in order to steal some cannabis. He left his house at 1:54 armed with a kitchen knife, and he entered the MacPhail property roughly a 5-minute walk away, where Alisha's room was the closest to the front door. When he found the sleeping girl, Campbell saw a moment of opportunity, later claiming, "All I thought was killing her once I saw her." He lifted a drowsy Alisha from her bed, left the house without anyone noticing, and walked with her to the ocean shore. The child awoke in his arms during this walk and asked who he was. Campbell replied that he knew her father and was taking her home. He carried Alisha to a secluded location where he raped and murdered her. He threw her clothes in the sea and then went home for a shower. He returned to the murder site to retrieve his phone. So then on the 6th, at 6 a.m. on the 2nd of July, Callum MacPhail woke for work and to find his granddaughter was not in her bed and determined that she was nowhere in the house. Had she run away? She'd never run away before. Her bike was in the garden. So he told Alisha's grandmother, Angela King, and they notified the police around about 6:23 in the morning. The rest of the family began searching the area, spreading the word of the disappearance, and making a plea on Facebook encouraging members of the public to help. McLaren, her father, noticed he had various missed calls from Campbell, who tried phoning him, and at 9:01 Campbell responded, "Sorry, doesn't matter," with 2 laughing emojis. When asked to look for Alisha, he wrote, "Oh damn, I'm sure she's not gone too far." Police in Scotland began the hunt for Alisha, using helicopters to assist in the search. A Coast Guard volunteer began searching the shoreline, where he discovered the kitchen knife near the MacPhail home. Many members of the public asked to join, and at 8:54 in the morning the police were notified by George Williams, a local man who had seen King's Facebook appeal that he'd discovered Alisha's lifeless and naked body. She was found in a wooded area within the grounds of a former hotel, a 15-minute walk from the MacPhail home. Georgina Loughrane, who was 70 miles away, her mother, in Airdrie, learned about her daughter's death via the Facebook page, and she'd been escorted to Butte. A post-mortem examination concluded on the 3rd of July, and the autopsy concluded that she had received 117 injuries, some of which were caused when she was alive, and some were caused by the vegetation. Injuries to her neck, her face indicated that she'd been gripped, while her injuries to her nose and mouth indicated that she'd been smothered. Her genitalia sustained catastrophic injuries, and the pathologist determined her death to be the result of significant forceful pressure to her face and neck. Police in Scotland opened this murder investigation, and the Chief Superintendent Hazel Henderson, the local police commander, stated that every available resource from across Scotland is being made available to this major investigation. The police conducted searches at the MacPhail residence while heavily patrolling the streets of Butte and making house-to-house inquiries. Several parts of the island were cordoned off while forensic experts searched for evidence. Jeanette Campbell, the mother of Aaron Campbell, helped with the initial search for Alisha in response to the police request. She checked the CCTV system installed outside her house and found footage of her son leaving and returning twice during the early hours that Alisha disappeared. And when she quizzed him about his whereabouts, he insisted that he knew nothing about the case. Jeanette was pleased with his response, but nevertheless the footage was given to the police to remove any suspicion. So Campbell was initially interviewed by Detective Constable Gavin McKellar, and as a possible witness he cooperated with the questions, showing no signs of worry or intimidation. He claimed that he'd been smoking and buying cannabis and was arrested on suspicion of murder on the 4th of July and taken to the police station in Glasgow, where he answered no comment to all the questions. The following day, Campbell was charged with the murder and rape of Alisha MacPhail and remanded in custody. And on the 13th of July, he appeared at Glennock Sheriff Court and did not submit a plea. A trial was set for February 2019 with Ian McSporran acting as prosecutor. A second charge of attempting to defeat the ends of justice was dropped during the trial because he was younger than 18, and the media were banned from reporting Campbell's name for the duration of the trial. So the trial began on the 11th of February 2019, presided over by Judge Lord Matthews. The court was shown the CCTV footage from cameras installed by his mother at the house that captured him leaving his house at 1:54 on the 2nd of July, returning at 3:35, then leaving and returning again for 2 short periods before 4:07. Additional CCTV footage supplied by members of the public showed an individual walking along the shoreline at 2:25 and 2:26, appearing to carry something in his arms. The pathologist John Williams testified that Alisha's feet were clean and uninjured, suggesting she had been carried. It was confirmed that several items recovered from the beach after her death, a fleece jacket, jogging bottoms, boxer shorts, a t-shirt and a kitchen knife, belonged to her son and came from her kitchen. Fibres from his trousers were found on Alisha's discarded pyjamas, and DNA matching him was found on the beach clothing. He further confirmed that a DNA sample taken from Alisha's neck had a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance of belonging to anybody but Aaron Campbell. And DNA matches were also found on Alisha's face, 14 parts of her body and some of her clothing. Campbell used his phone to Google search "How do police find DNA?", then visited a website titled Collecting DNA. A 16-year-old girl testified that hours after Alisha's body was discovered, Aaron Campbell filmed himself in a Snapchat video sent to a group of 25 people with the words, "Found the guy who has done it?" In his defence, Campbell claimed that he had spent the early hours of the 2nd of July trying to get cannabis and he'd lost his phone. 2 young men testified that they had received messages from Aaron but did not meet him that night. He'd logged a special defence of incrimination in which he argued that Tony McLaren, Alisha's stepmom, was responsible for MacPhail's death. He took the witness stand and claimed that she had sex with him in a garage that night. He suggested that she had murdered Alisha and used the condom to plant his semen on the child's body. Campbell's lawyer asserted that McLaren was jealous of the attention Alisha received and that her relationship with Alisha's father was physically abusive. McLaren denied all of his claims, adding that she loved the child to pieces. Campbell answered questions for 2 hours, offering explanations for the prosecutor's evidence while appearing strikingly composed, unfazed and articulate. He told the court that he had never met Alisha and denied murdering her. "Absolutely not. I could never do that." He agreed that placing the blame on an innocent person would be evil.